Today you will see me going up to the Temple Mount, to the most important place in the world. But first, let me tell you a little bit about this special place. So, the Temple Mount is not an ordinary place. It is located just next to the old city of Jerusalem. To its south you have the city of David, and to its east the Mount of Olives. Now, what is important to understand is that the Temple Mount is a gigantic place. Just look at it. You see the little dots? Those are people. This is how big it is. Here is another perspective, looking at the Temple Mount from the east towards the old city of Jerusalem. It is just huge. How huge? Well, first of all, it is not a perfect rectangle. Each side of the Temple Mount has a different length. And so the north side has 1035 feet or 315 meters. The south side is the shortest and has 912 feet or 278 meters. Then we have the east side, which is 1536 feet or 468 meters. Lastly, we have the longest side, the western side, which is 1590 feet or 485 meters. Now, just to give you a perspective, one of the biggest planes in the world, Boeing 747, is 232 feet or 71 meters long, which means we can fit 4 of those large planes on the shortest side of the Temple Mount and 7 of those huge planes on the longest side of the Temple Mount. Can you imagine this? 7 Boeing 747, if we stack them up in line, can fit on the Temple Mount. That's incredible. In fact, the Temple Mount is so huge that you can probably land a small plane on the surface of the Temple Mount. Think about it. However, what you see today are remains of a huge structure from the past, a platform upon which the second temple of King Herod stood, a magnificent building, much higher than the Dome of the Rock, and much more magnificent. The second temple built by Herod is no longer visible because it was destroyed by the Romans in AD 70. That was one of the most dramatic events of Jerusalem. But the platform upon which the temple stood is still here and can be visible. You can see the walls of this platform. The blue color shows remains of the structure built by Herod. The light red color shows the Dome of the Rock, and the strong red color shows the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, remains of this platform upon which the temple was built goes back to the 1st century AD. The Dome of the Rock was built in the 7th century AD, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque was built in the 11th century AD. That means that the Jewish temple was built more than 600 years before any Muslim structure. So let me ask you this question: who stole whose land? I think the answer is quite obvious. Before I will move on with my trip on the Temple Mount, I would like to highlight a few things. First, take a look at this bridge you can see here. Highlighted in yellow is a special bridge I will enter the Temple Mount. This bridge is the only passage through which non-Muslims can enter the Temple Mount. So I will begin my video on the Western Wall Plaza located here, and we will enter the Temple Mount over here. Also, please remember where the Golden Gate is located. And lastly, please notice this staircase that elevates you to the platform upon which stands the Dome of the Rock. So, we will together visit all those places that are now highlighted on this picture. But before we will do that, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit that bell button. Also, if you think that my work is valuable, please consider supporting the channel on the Patreon page. I will leave a link to my Patreon in the description of this video. With that out of the way, let's begin our episode.
Greet you again from Jerusalem, from the Western Wall, and today we will go up there to the Temple Mount. So we will use this bridge and go into the Temple Mount area. So there are already some soldiers going in, so they will open this place in a moment. And this is the Western Wall Plaza, so we have to get out from the Western Wall Plaza, and the entrance is as we get out on our left. So right now you see the morning prayers of the Jewish people. This is the section for men. Over there, there's a section for women. It's quite early in the morning. It's 6:45 in the morning. And, we're about to enter one of the most holy places in the world, where the temple stood and where God's glory, Shekinah glory, rested. So you see the sun now is just rising from the east. Behind us, behind this wall, there is the Mount of Olives. So let's go to the Temple Mount. So we're gonna leave the Western Wall now and enter through this bridge up to the Temple Mount. So here once again look at the Western Wall Plaza. We have synagogues here, yeshivas. Yeshivas are schools, religious schools, where you learn the laws of the Torah. So you see many different Jewish communities and their buildings here. It's like the end of the Western. This is like the end of the Jewish quarter over here. So we're gonna exit here and then go down and then go up. So we have exited. And we have to go down here. This is also the entrance to the Western Wall. So you exit in the top and enter here at the bottom. But to go to the Temple Mount, you have to use this entrance here.
Jeszcze jakieś jedzenie,
Jeszcze raz, no, no, he told me.
He told you about that,
Yes. Thank you. So now we are on this bridge. We just passed security. The guards were very concerned that I know all the rules. Obviously, it's much more tense these days when the war is in Israel. So here we have a good view from the top on the Western Wall. And you saw there was a, like, after the security, there was a small area where the Jewish people were gathering. And the Jewish people are also entering the Temple Mount these days. The religious, even Jewish people. There's a whole movement wanting to go up to the Temple Mount. We'll continue. And you see, this is the other side. So you see the sticking out part, which is remains of an arch of a staircase that would lead people to the Temple Mount in the 1st century. And below us is the city of David.
לוקח עוד 200 כמובן.
So guys, this is the entrance of the Temple Mount. This is where you get out. And this is the Al-Aqsa Mosque over here. As you can see, there's barely anybody here now because it's very early in the morning. That's one. And the second part is that there is no tourists these days in Israel. And the Arab people are probably sleeping still. So is the minaret that lights up green at night. And here you can see the Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is actually the more important part for the Muslim people than even the Dome of the Rock, which is behind the trees. So this would be the entrance to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So we can see a little bit of how it looks inside. We can't go in? No?
Inside.
So you cannot go in. So here you can already see the Mount of Olives. By the way, this place is huge. It's extremely big. It is several football fields. So it takes a while even to go around the Temple Mount. And you see now a group of Jewish people that are also here. So they are very well protected these days, because it's a dangerous times that we live in. So there's this platform, which is huge, and there is one more platform on which the Dome of the Rock stands, and that's a little bit higher than this one. So these days it's actually quite convenient to be in different places in Jerusalem. Of course, it's a horrible thing that the war is happening and that people are dying every day, and Israel is suffering economically because of this. There is almost no tourists, so, but because of this, you know, it's quite easy to get around because it's very empty. So you see some, and I just want to remind you guys, we are, as far as Jewish belief, as far as even Christian eschatology, in the most important part of the world, the Temple Mount. So we're walking up to the Temple Mount now. Where two temples stood. First, the Temple of Solomon, and then the temple that Herod built. What you see here is a smaller dome. This is the Dome of the Chains. This is where the altar of the temple stood. So sacrifices would be done here. And the entrance to the temple would be from the east. So east is over there. That's where the Mount of Olives is. You will see it in a moment. And here would be the entrance to the temple from this side. Here you can see the mosque again, how it looks. We have entered there through those steps and entered the Temple Mount from that gate. This is the Al-Aqsa Mosque behind those trees, and this is the higher platform. So now you see Mount of Olives. You see the Church of Mary Magdalene in front of us. It's an Orthodox, it's Cerkiev, which is church, but it's called different because it's Russian Orthodox. And then you have the Mount of Olives. So you see that small dome over there? It's like kind of gray. This is the church, and he has wept. And this is the traditional spot where Jesus wept when he saw Jerusalem. It's only 2 times that are recorded that Jesus wept in the New Testament. One of them is when he saw Jerusalem and he understood the difficult history that will happen to Jerusalem, and the second time was when Lazarus died. But what he saw was the temple at that time, beautiful building, much higher than this building. If you see the golden dome, the temple was like you see the golden part of the Dome of the Rock. So the temple would be higher by the amount of the golden dome. So you would put another golden dome on top of this golden dome, and that's the height of the temple of Herod. So it was bigger building, probably more beautiful than this, and this is what he saw. And of course he cried because he understood that very soon this whole city will suffer a lot. And it happened in AD 70 that the Romans came here and destroyed the city, and of course destroyed the temple. So again, you can see how huge it is, and this is, we're just on this smaller platform on top of this big platform. So it's very, very large. So over there we have the western city of Jerusalem, and over there is East Jerusalem. So let's go to the Golden Gate from this side. Let's see what we have over there these days. It's early in the morning, it's 7:20. It's a Monday, so normal working day. There's no holiday today. So the Golden Gate is, as you can see, that's the building over there. You see, it's not central to the Dome of the Rock, and that's how it was also in the Second Temple period. And this gate, of course, is the facade of the gate is from Ottoman times. The whole wall was built during the reign of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, but the gate itself stands on ancient foundations from the time of Solomon. This gate has been opened and sealed up several times in history, and today, of course, it's sealed up. In front of it, on the other side, there is a Muslim cemetery, supposedly built there to discourage the Messiah from coming this way, or enabling him to come through this way, because it would make him unclean and he would not be able to enter the Temple Mount area. But for the Mashiach, it's not a problem. I always say this. He can make everything clean. So when Jesus came to Jerusalem, he came from the east, from the area of Jericho. He went up the Mount of Olives, and then he entered Jerusalem to live his last days on this earth at that time. And he entered Jerusalem through this gate. And as you remember the story, Jewish people greeted him as a Messiah, started putting down branches, palm branches, as a sign, and shouting Hosanna as a sign of that they were expecting something incredible to happen, that salvation will come to Israel and they will be liberated from the Romans and the Messianic age will start. Of course, that wasn't how it happened, and that wasn't even the time of the Feast of Sukkot. It was just before Passover. So he entered not as a lion, but as a lamb that was then sacrificed. So let's go up again to the small platform. Since we're here, I will show you one more thing. So you can see there is a ladder on top of the Dome of the Rock. You see the ladder, and through this other ladder you can go in and kind of enter the dome, the cupola, from that side. So once again, this is the spot, the first dome, the little one is the spot of the altar, and behind of it the entrance to the temple, and then to the Holy of Holies was. And inside of this dome there is of course the rock of foundation, which is the top of this mountain, Mount Moriah, where of course the temple stood. But before even that, Abraham was told to sacrifice his son Isaac. Of course that didn't happen, because God did provide a ram that was sacrificed instead, but it was a prophetic sign of what is going to happen here. And during the temple times, a lot of sacrifices were happening on the Temple Mount. Then later on, of course, David conquered the city of David, and the city of David would be that direction over there below. So David, when he conquered the Jebusite city, he purchased this piece of land from Aruna the Jebusite. So he did purchases, but then only his son Solomon built the temple. So I want to show you one more thing here. So guys, I just want to show you one thing under this dome of chains. What you will see here, and some people don't know about it, is actually you have a Star of David in the middle of it. So you can find the Star of David just in front of the main entrance to the temple. So behind those wooden doors there are, of course, leading to the Dome of the Rock. You have the rock, the foundation rock, the top of Mount Moriah. Of course, only Muslims can enter this place.
Video? YouTube? Me.
Victoria.
Hello.
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 Oh,
How are you?
Garibay today.
Thank you.
Yeah, video.
Video?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So this is the Dome of the Rock from the other side. And if you would like to enter the mosque, if you're Muslim, this is the entrance. But of course you can't enter if you're not Muslim. Now I want to show you one more thing, guys. We're gonna go to some of the oldest remains of this place. There's one more staircase that I want to show you since we're here. It's good to see it. So this staircase to the Temple Mount is very unusual. So you see a staircase, right? Goes here, and then in the very bottom of this staircase there are huge stones, much bigger than those over here, and those stones are remains of the temple. So if we would take a measurement from this corner here to the end of the Temple Mount, it would be 500 cubits, and 500 square cubits, that was the size of the temple area in Solomon times.
So guys, what am I saying here is that if you would draw a straight line from the corner of the staircase to the end of the Temple Mount, the line would be 500 cubits long. And 500 cubits was the length of each side of Solomon temple platform. And we know this from the Mishnah, a commentary on the Torah, that gives us all the measurements of the temple. Now, I know we don't use cubits today, so the measurement of the royal cubit is 20.67 inches or 525 millimeters. So, taking those measurements, 500 cubits is 861 feet or 262.4 meters. And guess what? Guess how long is the line from the corner of this staircase to the end of today's temple platform? It's exactly this size, 861 feet or 262.4 meters. So on the Temple Mount we have evidence of Solomon's temple. Does that not just blow your mind? It's just incredible. But now let's go back to our walk on the Temple Mount.
So it's quite remarkable that we have those stones here, and back in the days, now you see cement in the middle, but there are photographs of those stones before they were covered with cement. There is a specific boss style on those stones, kind of that went around those stones, and the boss style comes from Solomon times. So it's quite exciting that you have remains of very ancient stones here at the bottom of this staircase. So guys, one more view on the staircase on the Temple Mount. You can see it where it is now in correspondence to the Golden Dome. It's right there. It's from the western side of the Temple Mount, and I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you enjoyed this short walk, and we will be finishing very soon. So thank you so much for joining me on this very special walk in this very special place. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be sharing more videos with you from Jerusalem, but for now I thank you for spending a little bit of this morning with me. I wish you all the best. Have a blessed day. Shalom.